I would like to share a quote with you from a famous person in history that you might not expect to have said this. And he says, "When I was standing at the pulpit, I felt like somebody who, emerging from a dark cave underground, comes back to a friendly daylight. It is a delightful thought that in the future, wherever I go, I shall preach the gospel. To do well, one must have the gospel in one's heart. May the Lord give it to me." Who do you think said this? One of Jesus' apostles? D.L. Moody? Charles Spurgeon? No, this was said by the famous post-impressionistic artist Vincent van Gogh. I myself have personal experience with fine arts. I studied art at Temple University in Philadelphia. I also worked for a famous mural artist. And I also worked at a gallery where we made prints for famous artists. Pursuing a career in fine arts can be used to share the gospel. And it can continue to be a platform for sharing other things that God values. While fine arts includes a variety of approaches, training is often needed to be employed in this occupation. Fine arts include painters, sculptors, illustrators, and there's a variety of medias and techniques. According to Donald Alban. Often good training takes place on college campuses where many students pursue a degree in art. 60% of artists are self-employed, and the job opportunities are limited, making the field competitive. Many artists make anywhere from $29,000 to six figures. God does value the sharing of his gospel, the free gift of salvation. He says in Isaiah, "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who proclaims peace, who brings glad tidings and good things, who proclaims salvation, who says, Zion, your God reigns." Also in Psalm 19, it declares the same thing, that God has used creation to declare his glory and to reveal himself. In one of Joseph Excel's commentaries, he said God uses nature to reveal himself and to declare his power. This seems to be effective because Paul Cézanne seems to have an outlook that reveals God in nature. He says, "When I judge art, I take my painting and put it next to a God-made object, like a tree or a flower. If it clashes, it's not art." Therefore, as I've said, fine arts can be used to promote the gospel. An example of how God has used artists is in Exodus 36, verses 1 to 2. "And Bezalel and Eliab, and every gifted artisan of whom the Lord has put wisdom and understanding, to know how to do all manner of work for service and sanctuary, shall do all according to the Lord has commanded." The Lord put wisdom into these artists to do his work to build his tabernacle. Also, according to Beth Williamson's writing on art in the church, art in the Christian church, she says that according to Pope Gregory, images can fulfill a very useful purpose. Not only stimulating religious feelings, but also conveying important messages of scriptures that people otherwise would not be able to understand because it was an illiterate society. Just as art was used in the tabernacle to depict the Messiah and to depict God's message, what he was showing in his word, his power, and who he was. And just as art was displayed in the stained glasses in the churches in the medieval times, I too would like to use art to display God's glory and to teach the gospel. Look around you. God is clearly the master creator and artist. And as I've said, just as God has used creation to reveal himself, I could use painting that would stimulate conversation and questions, and that would bring the gospel to the surface. you for your time.
Frank.
Okay, wait, let me